I'll introduce myself first. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Priyanka. I work as a volunteer at TCOL. It is an effort to bring alive stories, which are extraordinary stories of simple, ordinary people. Today at the panel, I have some very wonderful ladies. Luckily, for the moment, it is ladies all. I'd like to introduce, for starters, Miss Archana Gaba. I have Roopshree, and I have Rishika. And we'll go around the table in no particular order, but I think going around in alphabetical order does help. So I'll request Ms. Gaba to please introduce herself and her work.
Sure. My name is Archana Gaba, as Priyanka has just shared, and I am Chief Learning Officer working at Saint Kabir Gurukul, which is a CBSE affiliated school in Jalalabad, a remote village of Punjab, which is very, very close to Indo-Pak borders. And I'm really indebted to TCOL and really honored to be here as part of this panel. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Over to you,
Thank you.
Priyanka.
Yes, one moment, please. Uh, let's go with Rishika. Can we know more about you, please?
Sure. I'm India's first virtual assistant. I brought the concept of virtual assistant to India about 10, 11 years ago. And I have been building my niche with trainers, coaches, educators, entrepreneurs. And it's been a wonderful journey so far. I got associated with TCOL only very, very recently. And it's been an amazing thing to see that so many humans coming together and talking about technology.
Nice. Let's also hear what the journey of Rupashri has been like.
Hi everyone, a very good evening. I'm a performance enhancement coach. I help corporate leaders, business professionals, entrepreneurs, and students to build an impactful brand identity. I help them in their journey to stretch and achieve their goals and transform their lives with the help of NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. And with the present pandemic, I've been doing a lot of work with virtual facilitation and how do one build their identity on the in the virtual in this VUCA world. And it's a great privilege to be here on this platform, connecting with you all and speaking about technology, which is a boon to all of us. So thank you, Priyanka.
Okay, so that's nice to know that it is technology that enables us to be able to come across each other in lives. Maybe if it was not for this tool that we have that is to our disposal, the internet and platforms like TCOL, I would have never been able to meet such wonderful people and know more about their wonderful journeys. I'll start with Ms. Gaba, and I want to know what are internet bandwidth speeds like at your end, and do you struggle on that account?
We did struggle at one point of time, not only because of the internet, but also because of the lack of devices and other infrastructure also around internet. When the lockdown just began and we had to start online classes, the struggle was real. But with the passage of time, after 2 or 3 months, when people came to realize that this is not going to be over soon, they slowly switched over to smartphones and started using getting wi-fi connections for their homes so that children do not suffer, their study does not suffer. So this problem was to a great extent overcome by the end of July. But yes, internet speed, because everything went virtual, at the same time, and the teachers were kind of thrown into this without being prepared for this. So there was a lot of struggle. There still is, but now we are, getting used to it. And I believe now that the offline classes are starting again. Now teachers are a little, in their comfort zone. They have started enjoying teaching online. So it's becoming a struggle to, shift back to the offline mode now.
In fact, sometimes I get, I'm so happy to, I'm so happy with the way things are that I get anxiety for having to go back to what used to be normal. So I'm
True.
not looking forward to going back to that space either. And there is merit, and we've walked that path where we understand the merit of the format that we've got ourselves literally pushed into. And with time, we've only shown the resilience to continuously, as people, adapt to what has come along our way. Last year, it
True.
was more of technology that we had to adapt to, but I think it talks about how we adapt, and we adapt well and fast. So Rishika, what do you do when you say you are a virtual assistant? What is it that you actually do? Like if you were to speak to me and help me with the work that you do, what is it that you will? What would that conversation be like?
So most often it is to facilitate your day-to-day operations, and that's exactly what I had a concept in my mind. Is even when I was initially creating my business plan and pitching to people, I wanted to take this load off. Now I come with a good 25 years of corporate experience from Dubai and in India as well. I worked around 6 years in India. I have been raised there. So what has happened is that I was associated with so many people who were and these so many people I speak of are movers and shakers of organizations. They are the strategists. They are the ones who are sitting in the heads. So the C-suite level people making strategies, moving people. So what was I doing right there was shadowing those strategies. I was helping people to move forward with their vision and align everything else behind at the back end work as an executive assistant. So today, world's two biggest landmarks are on my resume, and creating those people's profile, creating and aligning day-to-day operations and tasks was something that I was already doing, and none of them used to be in rather I would say that it's only 20% of the time when they are in the offices. So when I'm manning the work around, they really don't need to see me in the office. And that struck me as a business perspective as well. What if I can help startups? What if I can help entrepreneurs who are starting off their new businesses, and basically take the load off their head and create a roadmap of operations for them. Gradually what has happened is that I was able to build the trust with people. So when I speak of these people who are entrepreneurs and someone who wants to start their businesses, what has happened is that it's just caused a ease of operations for them. When I've created templates and yeah, operations, back end operations, they don't need to basically be worried about how am I going to manage my emails, and how am I going to manage my programs, and how am I going to recruit so many people. So all of those tasks which a typical executive assistant does without even charging for a cup of coffee,
Wow.
no overhead cost.
I
And
want
when
to
we speak
share.
of, yes,
Yes. I had this journey, and for me, the COVID experience of having to opt for virtual work started 10 years back. And it
exactly.
is a story which is it is very relatable to women. And I think
Hmm.
everybody at this table, if you have children or if you have elders who we take care of also, that journey is a very real journey. I learned the merits of it during my years, which started almost 10 years back. At some stage I wanted to go back and continue that journey that way, with breaks or whatever. So that's the story of my professional world. It was very difficult. It was just very, very difficult
I agree.
to be able to say that I don't need to be physically present at your work, at the office address. And that is uh, that is something that is not mandatory for me to be a resource, but I felt that it was difficult to explain that point of view. So I have to clap for you
Thank
to
you
be
so
able
much.
to
Thank
do
you.
that and
Thank
to
you.
be able to
No,
succeed
it
in
has.
that
I
format.
agree with you absolutely, Priyanka. I absolutely agree with you. It has been a very, very long journey. I was extremely happy with the fact when around 4 years later, when the when something like us first, what is this called, office sharing concept had started. The office sharing concept brought so much of momentum in my work that I just had to basically now, instead of selling my services, I literally mean selling. When I say selling my services to entrepreneurs individually, to first and foremost find out who is aspiring to be an entrepreneur, किसके दिमाग में है कि वो 15 साल नौकरी करने के बाद if he wants to move to another post, or if he wants to make a move. So to encourage these people, I landed up being in the office spaces. I was able to do better. But the moment when the lockdown happened, and that was a boom. From that day, from the day when the honorable prime minister made that lockdown announcement, I have been closing on one client every week. And the best thing is that everyone opted for the thing that I love to do most, is bringing out heroes out of people. So the thing is that I am very, very passionate about personal branding, and LinkedIn is a place that I have been building, and a network that way. So it was amazing to bring that up. And I it just touches me when I hear someone's story. I have failed and I want to succeed. I have failed and I want to succeed, and that's what exactly comes in everyone's profiles. So I'm
Rishika,
extremely
I'm
happy.
so glad that we've had the chance to hear your story. I would have never
Thank you.
known this has happened. I can think of so many people who you can touch, not just in terms of the work that you do, but also in terms of the concept that you try to propagate. I think we
Thank you.
should. It'd be nice to remain in touch, and it'd be nice to see other people benefit from your experience.
Certainly, certainly.
Ruparshi, tell us more about your work. So when you talk, when you are at work, what is Ruparshi like? And I also have my fourth guest waiting, but we'll have to wait for Ruparshi to say her story, and then we'll add Mahavir, who's also going to be a part of this conversation.
Right. So thank you so much, Priyanka. I am a complete people person. I love connecting. So professionally, I'm a software engineer. I was with Infosys for a couple of years working, and then I thought it's pretty monotonous. Let me do what I'm really passionate about, and that's when I moved to facilitating coaching and training and all. But with the present pandemic, I'll just share a short story, or how it all began. My virtual facilitation. I started off with a signature program called Enhance Your Virtual Facilitation. So wherein I helped round about 200 trainers, coaches, virtual speakers, virtual presenters, to how they can build up that confidence to be on the virtual platform, how they can begin, or rather restart their journey of training. So it has been an amazing journey. I've built up a small community which is Enhance Your Virtual Image Family, wherein we connect with each other, almost on every day. We share the best practices. I help them with the, online tools which they can bring up a lot of engagement during their sessions. Yeah, that's the most important part that has been missing. So I connect with leaders of various industries. I conduct programs on how they can lead their teams more effectively, how they can communicate with them more effectively. So it has been a beautiful journey, and I feel, of course, pandemic has its own ups and highs. Whereas for me, it has always been very, very rewarding, I would say, because I am somebody who keeps moving to different places. And with the present pandemic, there hasn't been any obstacles or any stoppages as such. It was a continuous flow of work. And as Rishika rightly mentioned, that I was somebody who was closing deals, with my who was getting over with my clients every second day. So I was
So we'll
coming up
take
with
note of
programs
how
every
you do that.
weekend.
We'd love to
Yeah.
hear more of your story and how you do that. I can think of a lot of people whose lives you can benefit. I think it's not just lives that we benefit in that process. You can also save families, because there are social issues attached to women and their work, and number of hours outside, and it gets complicated with time. So it's great that this platform has been able to voice options that do exist. More importantly, it has been able to give a face and a name, and hopefully a LinkedIn profile or a profile somewhere in social media where people can reach out to. And I'm sure your experience and the work that you do can only grow with people who join you. So it'd be nice to see how we can help more people come to a platform and also address issues which then support their personal lives in a more healthy manner.
True.
I'd like to take up Mahavir also on the table. He's joined us. Mahavir, good evening to you. Hi, and where do you join us from?
I believe Mahavir is on mute.
Mahavir, if you can hear me, you are on mute. So would you please unmute yourself?
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening to you. And where do
Am
you
I
join us
audible?
from? Yes, you are audible.
I'm from India.
And do you join us from a city in India, or do you join us from a city outside?
City, by the way, India is a country, and I'm from Mumbai.
Okay, so you're living in Mumbai right now.
Correct.
Great. So what is the work that you? I don't know much. If that's your
Uh,
mobile phone, would you be so kind to put it on mute? Or we could wait for you to come back if it's an important call and have Mrs. Gaba speak about her work.
yeah, of course. Please continue.
Thank you. Sorry about that introduction. And that's the thing with live and guests who join, because not everything goes clockwork. And maybe that's
Yeah,
how life
that's
is as well.
absolutely.
But Mrs.
That's
Gaba,
what
I'm
technology is
extremely
about.
impressed. Yes, and it's also that it's made us less, I think, less corporate, if that's the right word to use. And it's made us more human and less
Human.
straitjacketed and more willing to accept the follies that we all have. And having
Absolutely.
children screaming in the background is fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Also, so, Ms. Gaba, please share with us your experience of moving online. As in, when did you realize that it's not going to be brick and mortar and that internet will have to be the way forward?
For student, this of course happened. I guess Mahavir.
We will wait for
That's
you
it.
to share your story. That's a story which
Of
I
course.
think
Please continue.
Yeah,
yeah.
Mahavir, we
yeah,
would like you to mute your call and if you're not speaking. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. So, see, my students and teachers shifted to online mod now. But now I'm 50 years old, but my journey of, getting on with technology started 15 years back. I have always been very, very enthusiastic about the use. And I remember my son when he was just 7 years old, he used to say, because he watched a lot of Discovery channels, and he used to say, Mom, I want to be auto engineer. Even at the age of 7, he used to say that I want to build, these kind of vehicles and this. And he knew so much about computers even at that age, that we would keep, changing the configuration of the computers that he would be demanding to work on. So that was my first brush with technology, with the help of my 7 8 year old son. And from that time on, when the mobile was launched, in first 3 months I got my cell phone, which was a Nokia. Back then it was very, very popular phone.
3310.
Yes. So, and because I was in a place which is far from every place if I have to travel physically, so that's why very soon I shifted to online. Like I, did courses from Emeritus College of Business, University of Columbia. I did from courses from California. Recently, I have, trained myself as a happiness coach from Berkeley Institute of well-being and science of happiness. Worked as teacher associate with Stanford University as a, happiness coach. So now I'm pursuing, a program in instructional design from Harvard also. So my brush and my journey with technology goes long back, and this is one thing that I, present as a lesson to everybody around, because generally we women, we think of so many times in terms of excuses and limitations, in terms of glass ceilings. So this is, my message to everybody, women or men for that matter, that there is no stopping when we decide to do something. I mean, this is the only test. If you really have passion for something, that passion does not entertain, does not even see any limitations. So technology is, I would say, my second name. I just can't survive without it. I have a library at home. Still, I have a library in my purse in the form of Kindle. All right. And I'm sure, I mean, there are so many things now. We use virtual assistant, and I remember, a joke I read somewhere, but it feels that it happened in my home itself. Like husband said to the wife that I have got to know that our TV watches and records everything. So wife says, "Oh really? Then we should just sell it off." And when she said, Siri laughed and Alexa laughed. so,
Yes.
so that is the kind of home that we have now, even in Jalalabad. I mean, which if you'll Google about it, you will see that this is a place 100 years backward from Mumbai, because my son now is in Mumbai for last 6 years. So the technology wise, progress wise, we are 100 years back. We don't have any mall here. We don't have any McDonald here. And technology to matlab bhool hi jao. So this is the
So
kind of
do you
mixture that I have
so
been
do you
enjoying.
feel do you feel so one thing that I also hear from your discourse, ma'am, is that somewhere it takes you away from the micro environment that and parts of that micro environment that are not to your flavor. It's to
Yeah,
say that you may or may not find a social circle, but you certainly have the internet to go to and invest your time and effort with uh, subjects which
and
find your
such
interest.
a relief. Yeah, it is such a relief, Priyanka. Otherwise, you feel like you are, inside the water, and you, after 15, 20 days, a month or 2 months, when you can travel, only then you will get out of the water and just breathe.
Right.
Otherwise, it was like that. But with the help of technology, I never feel that I don't have a social circle. You see, if I can connect with people like you, I mean,
Of
what
course,
else?
it's been
What
such
can
a
be a better
pleasure.
social circle? Yeah.
And like I say, so like I say, at the Circle of Legends, it's important, we feel, to say these stories this way, because you don't know who's listening, and you don't know who
True.
you inspire. And I don't need to know who I inspired by name, but if I did, then maybe my work here is done, and I can
Absolutely.
live another day a little better. So like they say, it comes around. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but somebody, if it does add a difference, that's great. So Mahavir, can we take you up and know more about your work?
Works. Good evening, everyone. Where should I start with?
You can start with introducing yourself and give us your whole name and what do you like to invest your time with.
So my name is Mahavir Naya. I'm from Mumbai, and everyone was talking about their life with COVID and how technology helped them to grow. So I would definitely say that COVID was the best part of my life. Like when everyone was down with the jobs were losing, so I was the one. I recruit as many as people I could get.
So what work do you do? Would you like to tell us more about the work you do? I
I'm
I,
sorry for
I
that.
I don't have your social profile.
So basically, I'm a stainless steel raw material manufacturer and dealer. We deal in stainless steel raw material, like we have sheets, plates, pipes, flanges, and n number of more products. So my business model is a B2B business model. I supply my product to my clients who resides in the industrial areas. So during the COVID, they had a very difficult times to get the raw materials. So we invented an app, and with the help of that app, they could get all the things which they required.
Interesting. So was it the COVID experience that gave you that idea, or is it an idea that was brewing for you much before COVID happened?
Well, the thing was that during the times of COVID, n number of the suppliers went out of the business. They weren't in town, and they weren't getting the sufficient employees for their work. And I got the great opportunity here. I pitched each and every of my client. I recruited around 15 to 16 interns. Few were my classmates, some brothers, and n number of people from workindia.com. So basically, at that time, we tried to reach n number of our clients, not only in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, in Udaipur, in Kerala, in Nepal as well, and we tried to connect. We tried to connect them, and we grew.
Thank you. So I think something that we hear definitely at the table is how each one of us individually has been able to make best of what life brought for them, either with the COVID experience or at a small city. And I have to also share at the table that I've lived in small cities and I've lived in small cities outside the country as well. And frankly, the story does not change. There are the issues with internet, the issues with poor roads, and I'm talking about non-Indian nationals. So it's not a conversation about our nation. It's a reality that exists, and the other reality that exists is that now we've all been part of this global village, spearheaded largely by the internet, and the fact that it has opened up opportunities which are important to speak. It's important that we learn from each other's experiences. So, Rishika, how did you get your first client? Like, how? What
Uh,
was your
it,
first paycheck
it's
from?
ex- it's going to be very, very surprising for you to know, Priyanka. I happen to be my first client.
Did you
The
pay
thing
yourself?
is that yes, and you will understand this because if you do not create your own website, if you do
Right.
not update your own LinkedIn profile, if you do not create your own business plan, if you do not create your own marketing plan, then how good am I? I'm a virtual assistant. What have I got to prove? So I had
Right.
to basically put in all my 25 years of corporate experience, bring myself to a place. Now I have a mentor who tells me this, and this is something that I have pushed into my thought process. You are your first client when you solve your problem of 5 years ago. Your client is somebody who you have solved a problem of 5 years ago. So something that I faced 5 years ago is something that I'm going to be solving. And today, the more rapid my actions are, the more rapid my solutions are, the more innovative my solutions are. Today, any one of you who receives a business card from me clicks on my icon, clicks on another icon, clicks on the third icon, and can reach me on LinkedIn, on my YouTube, on my Instagram, on my link, anywhere. And you will just, in fact, you use my business card, which is an extremely innovative method of connecting with people. You just click, and the card dials the number for you.
And that's a
So
virtual card.
yes, it's a virtual card. It's a virtual card, and it's a messenger based. So that means that everywhere there is a messenger. If there is a Facebook messenger, if there's a LinkedIn messenger, if there is any messenger, WhatsApp is a messenger service. So any messenger based, it means I send a card across. People don't need to ask me who am I. It's all there on the card. What have I done? My business testimonials, my sample of work, the magazine covers that I've designed, or the ghostwriting subjects that I've taken up, or at all. I'm an author as well, so the book that I published, everything is very much on the card. So it just basically helps for people to be combining their own wisdom that they have acquired, whatever the problems that I was facing earlier, connectivity, to get to know people. How can I do it at the click of a button? That was something that I was facing earlier. Like, instead of sending multiple emails to send introductions, I just have innovated one business card, and that's about it. It's a very simple thing. You just click and connect. So
That's
yes,
interesting. Why don't
yes,
you? Well, it'd be nice to explore the work that you do and whatever part of it that you would like to display. I think post the conversation, if you feel it's appropriate and it's an
yes,
interesting conversation, share it with your social media and also tag along links which you feel would help people to reach out to you and also maybe learn from what your experience has been. So,
absolutely, absolutely. So
Rupashi, how do you?
I'm relaunching my virtual assistant program as well, to help women who want to work from home in a more corporate mindset. So yes, I'm doing that the second time around, and I'm sure I'll share those links as well. So this is all a
That'd
packed
be great.
thing.
So I think
Yes,
TCOL and the webpage of TCOL in all social medias can then become a repository. Let's
yes,
uh, let's also hold in our conscious that it's an evolving platform where which extensively relies on volunteers. But what we do understand is that tomorrow, if you have somebody who can go back to this platform and look for a resource, over time we'll have such wonderful stories sharing such simple
absolutely,
problems and simple solutions.
absolutely.
Rupashi, so what has been your takeaway from what we've discussed so far? Like, what is the one branding mantra that you think you can then uh, incorporate in your lectures now on?
See, there's one thing that I always say, you have to be adaptable, you have to be just like water. You have to be adaptable, you have to be powerful, you have to be ever changing, you have to be gentle, right? If you're static in this dynamic world, then that's a recipe for failure. And another concept that I truly believe in, and that has become all the more stronger with the present times that we all are living in, is life is just like a bicycle, you see. So if you want to keep the balance, you have to keep moving. And that's one strong principle that I completely has imbibed in myself. It's not, see, all these obstacles are not, you will fall, but that's not an end. You need to rise up again, and that's the reason I name my brand name is Rise and Shine.
That's a very, very pretty
That's
brand
what
name.
I truly live by.
So
You
how did
fall,
you get your first client? How did you get your first? What was the one
that's
thing that
a
encouraged you to say, okay, this is the work I like, and this is can I work with you? So how did you get
so
your first
just
client?
going a little back, I am a professional software developer. That's what I am. I'm a software engineer. I'm a software developer. As I said, I worked with Infosys for a couple of years. And then one fine day, you have that eureka moment. It's like, no, I don't want to do the same monotonous work. I want to do something that I'm very passionate about. I was always people person. I was always somebody who used to speak a lot. I'm an orator. So I wanted to connect with people more and understand their lives, understand different cultures. And that's when I moved to Kolkata. As such, it's a place to be with people, to enjoy and everything. So I connected with a lot of people. It was pretty difficult for people to accept me as a, from being a software developer to a life skills coach or a soft skills trainer way back 12 years back. So people were like, are you really clear about what you want to do? You were into coding and now you want to deal with people. So that was a real difficult thing to kind of convince them. And as such, I didn't have any credibility or credentials to show it to them. That was tough, way back 12 years back. And we didn't have a lot of course, you had technology way then as well. You could have done a lot of certifications and reflected that, yes, I'm certified trainer, I'm a certified life coach and all. But then I didn't do that. I was like, let me prove it myself. Let me share what I am, who am I, physically interacting with people. So it was difficult to get the first client, but when I got it, I remember one incident when I approached one of the consultants for work. They said, see, we have gray haired people in our organization, so are you sure they will accept you? It's like, are you sure a young girl, a young woman would be training all those gray haired people? And believe me, I did not get that. I'm sure, I was pretty sure that I'm not going to get it, but I didn't give up. I went to the same client 2 years back and they were readily accepting me. I did not, and that is the day I thought that I'm not going to give up. I'll face failures. I'll do a lot of mistakes. Maybe I did not approach them properly, but then I learned and I revisited them, and that's how I got the same client who rejected me 2 years back. So that was a big learning in my life.
That brings me at a very interesting anecdote. Is it okay, Priyanka, if I can share that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So when I first made my draft virtual assistant business plan, because of course business plan was something that we want to do to structure ourselves. So and I was not looking for an investment because all I needed was a mobile phone and a laptop, internet connection. That's all I needed for a virtual assistant. और क्या चाहिए होता है executive assistant को? So I landed up. The beauty of it is that when I first sent a business plan to my supervisor, my ex-supervisor who I was working with, she was in the head office and I was at the site office. So when I sent it to her and I said, will you give me your inputs? Do you want to join this business? All right. And now exactly, the first time when I launched the virtual assistant program, exactly 10 years later, she asked me, Rishika, do you think I can become a virtual assistant? 10 years later, the first person who I proposed to was asking me, and these are such, I mean,
Invitations are the best
incredible
form of
examples. Yes,
flattery. It doesn't get, you don't need the crown to sit on your head to tell you that you won the game.
absolutely. And it,
So, Vishaka,
and
I
like,
want to ask you, and I also want to understand from you that you've been in the formal education system, schooling as we all understand it as, and it has its share of criticism, and you've also had the occasion to educate yourself using an online platform. My question to you, ma'am, is how important is it to go through a course? Is how important is the stamp, and how important, and is it something that is an absolute must?
I would say yes. Why? Because, unless until you have credentials, you don't feel the confidence to present yourself to your prospective clients or the people you want to work with, the people you want to impact. And being an academician, I believe that it's my job to inspire people to get formal education also. It does not mean that they don't need the informal learning. Of course, that is most important. Life skills we learn by living only. But at the same time, I do believe that formal education must be there. And secondly, to survive in this, as ma'am mentioned, VUCA word, and in this fourth industrial age, it's important for us to be both ways, lifelong learner and life wide learners. So wherever you get an opportunity to, you learn. When I started this school in the beginning, because this was not my plan at all, I was very happily working as a professor in a college. English literature was my subject, and I was very happy discussing Wordsworth and Shakespeare and all. But then somehow destiny brought me to this profession, and I started my school. What I realized is that I need to work on how to shape students' minds, but books are can't be the tool. Books alone cannot be the tool to do that. So I really felt, because during B.Ed we are taught child psychology and everything, but I felt that was so out of touch with reality. Reality is something totally different, and we need to learn the most modern, updated concepts to understand this neuroplasticity. So I too went for neurolingual programming. I am a trained hypnotherapist also. I'm a master trainer rather than that now, and I realized that what it is to be an influencer in the positive sense of the word, and how it's important for anybody under your care first to visualize the destination they want to proceed to. Only then they are able to choose the path, the course, the certification, whatever they want to do. So I am totally in for formal education.
Mahavir, to me, it seems that there is a mixed opinion on the table regarding formal education. A lot of us have walked their path and learned it possibly the harder way. It would have been simpler to pick up a book and learn the course, pass one exam, get a certificate, and be happy with that. But do you, firstly, do you at your stage in life feel the requirement to pick up a formal certification?
Not at all. Not at all. I really feel the only thing which is important for me is just experience, and which I get from books and from people which I meet.
Great. So have you been
Well,
listening to the
the
ladies at the table?
of course, yes.
So I,
Actually, my connection went a bit up and down, but I was listening.
oh, that's nice to know because we thought we missed you. So what is the one, what is your first learning, if you may call it that, from the experiences of others who were also at the table?
Uh, well, uh, I would say that. Okay. Can I be back after a minute if you don't mind?
Sure, no problem. You please write to
Thank
us
you.
or come back to us on social media sometime if you feel that's you take all the
Of
time
course.
and you think that is there something that you would like to share at the table which would help you further your call? Is there something that
Uh,
you would like to say so that it can help you with your work as you do it?
of course. So the one change which I made with my team in the last few months is that before starting with the day, we just read for an hour. We have a good
Read.
library at our office, and we just read.
Uh-huh. That's
It is
beautiful.
nothing. There's nothing. It is nothing related to any degree, nothing else. We have a set of books, and we read that. Nothing much.
And what do you like to read personally?
So I started with philosophical and self-help books, but then I was done with that. So I started with some finance book and then some books from Sadhguru. Then I went ahead with books with Yuval Noah Harari about the world and how
Sapiens.
it is going to change. Sapiens, 21st centuries, 21st lessons, Homo Deus, and that's it.
Homo
It was,
erectus.
they were really great. They were really great.
Right. So, and how do you choose the topic that you want to read? Tomorrow morning, when you go to office, if you go to office on Saturday or Monday, what is what drives you to pick that book up? How do you choose your
Well,
topics?
there isn't anything as such. I would say the book which I'm reading, I complete. I just make sure that I complete them in a week or two, not much, because the more I prolong, I forget things.
Of
So to
course.
recollect it, I just read them in a week or two, not much. So after
And as
lockdown, I got a good habit of reading. I'm sorry. Yeah, please
that's
continue.
fantastic. So as a person, when you read a book and then you go to your work desk, I do you consciously try to recollect what you read in the book and apply?
Well, that is really very difficult because still I'm on a small level. So those things and those principles are applied when you grow very big. When you have a very good business, when you have a very when you have around 100 to 200 people under you to manage them, so those principles are applied there. But on some level, I would say definitely my vision got expanded due to this, and I got a good development. How how much can I scale more, like on what level I can go,
So what
just
is
after
the
reading
one
this.
thing
So
that you would do next when you try to go back to the desk? And
well, I would take a break for 2 years and just read,
that's wonderful.
not
You know,
now.
somewhere in social media, I read that some of the best known names of the business, and I think when I say best known names, they are the usual suspects. Actually, these days there is the gentleman who would be heading Tesla and Microsoft and Facebook. So those are really the poster boys, really, of good and success. And frankly, somewhere on social media, I read that they came to Kashi and they came to Kashi in India for inspiration. So I'm not too sure how true is that, but even if it is my remotely true, it makes me feel very proud to be uh, born in that land which inspires. So I have to say, Mahavir, your story is inspiring. We wish you the very best to what you are trying to achieve. At the Circle of Legends, feel free to reach out to people. I think, amongst other things, that platform tries to show people as people. It helps us drop the guard to a certain extent and be more accepting to those who are around us. Miss Kava, I would like you to reflect on your life's journey and share with us what you think is around the corner. I think you're the best positioned. You see the young generation. You also see somebody like Mahavir, who started his work. I'm not well educated on what Mahavir has done academically, but I do wish him the very best to what he is trying to do. I stand by him when he says that I don't really need the degree to show my credentials. My work does talk. So God bless him. And there is also
Yeah.
the example of those youngsters or those small children who are quite clueless how world functions. And you've also had the privilege to watch your own journey and with your own children and your own personal journey. Ma'am, I would like you to reflect on what you think is around the corner.
First of all, my best wishes, appreciation, and blessings to Mahavir. And whenever I talk to the parents at the outset, parents come a lot to us, to principals, with lot many complaints, and to counselors and to teachers, and that way I also get so many meetings with them, and they come with lot many complaints about the children, and I always say that I am on their side, not yours. So I am very, very hopeful, very optimistic about these young people. Why? Because they are really very sorted. All of us parents, whether they are of my age or younger than me, I have seen that we, especially Indian parents, we make our children the first and foremost mission of our life. And I believe that has paid good dividends, because our children are really now well educated. They have become critical thinkers, because they have managed to live a good life despite so many limitations, whatever a developing country sometimes imposes. So I am very much in favor of whatever these young people are thinking and doing. As far as what is around the corner, I see Indian people to be really rising in the right sense of the word. Just because before this session, I was in conversation with the team in which we had two educators from Brazil, and the host asked them that what is the one thing they feel inspired about, Indian schools and Indian education, and they both said the same thing. That first is how you instill spirituality in your children, And secondly, how you instill the respect for teacher in your children. And I was feeling so proud. And now when you say that all these guys, they have been to Kashi for inspiration, that explains it. I mean, as long as our youngsters are, rooted on ground and are kind of in a flight as well towards the stars, we are in very safe hands. And I see a very bright future. Despite whatever people may say that technology has side effects or we are getting westernized or whatever, I see that they are, um, opting for the best of the West. Very
I'm
few
so glad.
cases will be there
I'm
where they
so glad
don't,
you put it that way. I'm so glad
yeah,
you put it that way because nothing sails you stronger than the values that you carry. So maybe
true.
people like Mahavir inspire us and inspire me as a parent to say that, okay, I don't know what my children are up to. I think that's what my mother would have said for me, but they would be up to something good. I may not understand all of it, but I do think, ma'am, with your words, I can leave them and maybe they are in safe hands. So that's just nice to know. I want to take closing remarks from all of us, but what I want us to share in our closing remarks is your one happy moment or your one success story with profession. We'll start with Rupashri and then we'll go to Rishika. So share with your one real happy story moment.
One real happy story. There are plenty to pick one. I would say um, the day I got, I just shared the incident that I reached to the same client and they gave me that, the deal was closed. They said that yes, you're in. And till now, I'm working with that client. So that day was the most happiest moment that I could convince them irrespective of the credentials. I did not get a formal certification till then, so I completely agree with what Mahavir said. Just the certifications are not going to add value. It's you who has to share who you are. So it's very important for you to. That was the most happiest moment I can, when I started off my journey as a trainer. So I can
And
say
I
that I got back and I convinced them, and I'm still working with that client.
and I wish you more
And
such
that's
happy
a,
moments. I wish you
yeah.
more people and I wish you more such happy moments. I wish you more
Thank you
people
so much. Thank you so
who
very
have been able
much.
to watch your journey and are willing and are, if for lack of a better word, desperate to have you on board so that you can add value to their lives and their teams. Rishika, your happy moment, other than what your happy moment story and parting
Okay,
remarks.
in a very, very brief snippet of my happy moment has been quite recently. I During the lockdown, my mom was with me. I'm a single parent, and my mom was with me and locked down for once. So I was talking to her about very casually, one of those mother daughter talks, and I was talking to her very casually about those people who have started labels, who call themselves migrants, or rather, we have stamped them as migrants. They were walking, and moving. I'm sure it's all over the media, and it struck me uh, that there is a daughter waiting, and there is a child or a mother or a wife waiting for them to come back home, and like God knows when they're going to come back home, and that sense of the gripping sense, because my papa, when he passed away, I never knew when he was going to come back home. When he passed away, I kept looking at the door. The last person who saw him leaving the house was me, and that feeling resonated. So my mama says, "You are a good writer. Why don't you write about it?" As it is, it was your papa's dream that you become an author. Within a span of 7 hours from that night, on 25th of May till 26th of May, I finished writing the entire book. Finished. Designed my cover. Like I said, I am my own first client. So I designed my own cover, though I have been designing other covers as well earlier. But then I designed my own cover. I designed it, and on 26th, I put it up on Amazon. 27th, it was already published. And each penny that I received from the book has already gone into charity for those people who are walking on the road. That was my entire marketing
And
campaign.
what do you call that
The
book?
walk back home. The book is called Faces of Faith. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mahavir, I hope
I just want to
we
I
Very
just want to go
inspiring,
back to Miss Gaba. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Gaba. Also, Ms. Gaba, I just wanted to bring to this thing. I agree and concur with our young chap over here. He simply says that certifications are not important, and why I would say this is because I was given that choice when I told my papa in eighth standard. I was doing CBSE and that also in the Middle East. I told my papa I do not want to go to school anymore. They're not competitive. They're not dreamers like me. Papa said, hats off to you. And I should tell you why that hats off happened. I'm so sorry. I'll just take a few more seconds on this. Is that when he said, तो फिर क्या करोगी? I said, I will think about it. In those days, I made international calls to Delhi. I found out that there is this organization called National Open School. I picked up
Okay.
until 10th standard, which is what is called what I thought was HSC or something. I took those correspondence courses from Middle East in those years, way back in 94 actually. And at the same time, I took up two simultaneous job. But before that, I created an entire file, a folder of what I plan to do in the next few years, and you need not be worried about my education. जिस दिन पापा को वो presentation पहली बार मिला, the tangible pride moment of his daughter, what she can do, he just got up and said, hats off to you. I'm a school dropout and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm featured as 35
That's
women entrepreneurs of India. So it just
wow.
feels great to be, just go about experiencing. And that experience is more of a count than a paper that says I'm certified to do this.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
I agree with you on this. Yes. See, what my point is that education, what is the purpose of education is to, make you decide right from the wrong.
Yes,
But
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, so sometimes this education happens informally, but what I have seen, the different contexts I have been into, what I have seen that this opportunity is limited to only those children, to get informally educated whose parents are conscious parents, enlightened parents, which
Absolutely.
is actually
Absolutely.
not the case with majority of the parents, I deal with. It may be a area specific problem, I don't know, but that's how it is. That's why I say that why don't then get formally educated at least to be qualified to choose right and wrong, between right and wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
It's
that's
all
my
everyone's quest. It's the
yeah,
quest. It's the quest. So it's quest
true.
of knowledge from either here, from the spiritual world, from education world. It's academic itself is a world in itself, and it's beautiful. I
Yeah,
agree
Mahavir,
with you.
what
it is.
is? I hope we've introduced one more book to your library. I hope it's a story that adds value to you.
Surely, surely. Yeah.
So we'll take closing remarks from you. We'd like to hear you reflect on what your journey has been so far and how being present on this platform might help it further. But more importantly, what is the one takeaway that you would want to keep with yourself or share with the world?
That's lot many questions. So let's because there is one memory which has been in my mind while everybody has been talking. One thing that I want to share with you all, because as you said, we don't know who is listening. Because when you are a teacher for 20 something years, happy memories happen every day. Happiest moments arrive almost every day. For a teacher, I mean, this is the best part of life. But still, I want to tell you about one particular story. I had this chap in kindergarten, and unfortunately, I mean, I was the first to realize even before his parents that he couldn't hear. Parents were not ready to accept this for 2 straight years. Like, no, ma'am, it's not like that. Maybe your teacher is not trying enough, and maybe you are mistaken. But I ultimately, on my insistence, after 2 years, I got them, convinced to get the boy checked up, and they got to know that he already has 72% hearing loss. So by the time he was in grade 1 already. So they couldn't afford to send him to any special school away from Jalalabad because being, every place being far away and he being a very, small kid. At that time, his sister was studying in grade 8, and the parents came to me and mother was crying like anything, and ma'am, would you not keep him in your school now? Would I have to homeschool him, because I know nothing about teaching, and especially with his condition I know nothing. So I said, even I don't know anything, but I will not turn him out of the school as long as you don't make an alternate arrangement. We'll keep him with us, and I will keep him with me like a mother. If I had a child who was, hard on hearing, so how I would cope up with him, I'll try to manage him that way. So what I did is I learned, sign language from YouTube, and I started training a teacher in sign language. When we started interacting him with sign language, teaching him sign language, he started grasping it really very, very fast. Okay, and what happens is that after 15 days, his parents stand up and they said, "Ma'am, me and our daughter who is in grade 8 now, we also want to learn sign language. So you give us extra time in after school." I said, rather than you let me first teach his sister, Mansi is her name, let me teach Mansi the sign language. So I sent the teacher to grade 8, and the teacher told them that, Mansi, from tomorrow, you'll be attending the sign language class after the school. So you have to stay back. And you know what happened? 3 days Mansi attended that class, and fourth day, the whole grade 8 turned up. And on, I guess, the next week after 10 days, my whole school in morning assembly said that, ma'am, we want to learn sign language so that we can talk to Manik. So, and now that guy, he's appearing in grade 8 this year. We could teach him writing, reading comprehension. We could teach him basic mathematics, first with sign language, then their parents got convinced for getting him hearing aid. So this is one story, which makes me feel so empowered as a teacher. We really can, help parents write destinies for their children, write destinies, I believe.
Absolutely. Kudos to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I will come to Mahavir. I think sometimes my daughter says, "Mama, I want to be a fairy when I grow up." I said, "Yeah,
Yes.
you just have to be a doctor then, because they are the ones who have that power to heal." But now I'll tell her to be a teacher instead.
For sure, for sure. Because
Mahavir,
you
I have
really
to
are
hear you.
second to, I mean, it's not that people say that you are second to God. You feel like being second to God because you really, have the power to write destinies if you use it wisely, if you use it rightly. I believe that, Charlie.
Mahavir, your happy moment and your thoughts, please.
Well, before that, I just want to tell you one thing. The one thing, the ability to learn at any age, that is the best part which I love. I have deep respect for those who have this, and especially you, ma'am. You said that you changed for that girl and you learned the sign language. That was really amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
also want to bring on the table, Mahavir, since you're in the position and so are others in the position, but you more certainly, because maybe you are able to employ a larger bandwidth of people. I want us
Hmm.
to also remain in our conscience that not everybody is as gifted as ourselves individually. And that people with challenges, like when I was expecting my children, sometimes it would cross my mind to say, what if? And then what if? And I want us as people who can enrich other lives to keep that conscious in their mind and perhaps carve a niche if possible to be able to incorporate them in an everyday conversation. So Mahavir, you also, other than maybe reading the book, you also have the magnanimous task of considering if your field of work can incorporate people who have different abilities and are not as gifted as each one of us individually is. So, on those, any parting thoughts or thoughts that we are missing on the table? We are up with our timelines. I can now close down the broadcast and we can continue the conversation though.
Thanks a
This
lot
conversation
for
was very enlightening, very, very enlightening.
exactly. I
Of
really
course.
got to know something very new.
So, I'll close the
Very
Love
broadcast.
this.
inspiring stories,
Of course,
with happy moments, with inspiring
yes.
stories. It has been
I think that's
enriching.
why TCOL exists, and that's why we are growing. We're growing on a base of volunteers. But somewhere I do feel that these stories need to be heard and need to be told.
Absolutely.
So,
So I'll also
I should come up with